eventually. Underbot is a work in progress. Anyhow, the match has begun. I have set the timer immediately. All right, there you go.
Again, it hurts to see the Shadow Pips just right off the bat knowing they can't be used.
They're going to a good cause, all right? They're going to a good cause called balance. That's what they are, you know. They're going to a good place.
That's true.
Indeed, it is very, very true. All right, so we'll see how they start off with. What's your bet? Do you think it's going to be like last match where it was very defensive, or do you think it's going to be more exciting, more offensive?
I think, based off what I'm saying right now, they're going to be a little bit more hitting oriented, because it seemed like they had decent damage as well. So I think they're really going to try to test each other and just begin just by doing some small hits and trying to see where they can really fit at.
I definitely agree. I think there's going to be a little bit of a stalemate going on here. I think what would probably be the best move for Eric is to try and conserve his pips. Being first, you know, as a life, you got to be a little aggressive when you're first. Otherwise, it doesn't really seem to go anywhere. Especially knowing that Ben here is also running a life mastery, he needs to be a little aggressive and push him to either be more defensive or be more aggressive as well. Otherwise, we're going to be in a stalemate for a while.
And thinking back to last match, I wonder if we'll see any actual like bubble wars, because they started out with the Belfrost, and then they changed it to a Sanctuary, and then it was never changed again. And like we just said, starting out with the Belfrost now, how is this really going to play to their strategy?
This is going to be an interesting match. We're already seeing some bubble wars going on. It sounds like there wasn't much going on in the last match, so I'm actually kind of interested to see what we got going on here.
Yeah, I'm just happy though. I'm just happy we see an affection. Like there is more of a will to do bubble control, or to do crowd control, right? Like last match didn't really have that much crowd control on the healing front, which was the problem though. Because if you decide to not impede life's healing ability, really your opponent's healing overall, especially a person that the sole strat of living. His defense was against damage. Like, I'll just heal it off. It's like, that kind of hurts. Oh, I'm back to full health. I'm back to full health. Like, that's it. It took Talons in the previous match so long to actually kill, to get to the right condition to go around that, where he probably could have gotten that kill much faster. It's a very unfortunate event, but it seems like these guys may be having a better plan against their opponent, or maybe they watched last match. They're like, it was sweating in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, we learned a valuable lesson. Like obviously they don't know their match would be streamed because it's kind of random what I pick, but they were totally watching the stream. They totally know what happened.
I think what's interesting there is seeing what we got here. Eric already using the Satyr to get the infection off, sacrificing almost all of his pips to try and take that off early in the game. So we'll see what Ben does in response to that with the clear advantage in pips, because it'll be interesting to see if he just starts going for it or if he's going to play a little bit more strategic.
Thinking back to the first match, we saw they really were keeping up with each other. The Ice person would shield, the Life guy would heal, and they were literally having within just a couple hundred health difference every time they'd hit. They would just keep the same, and they were deadlocked into a stalemate. And then at the very end, he was able to do the exact damage he needed to eliminate it. So how different is this going to be? It already looks like they're going to be more hitting oriented. We've already seen the bubble war, and just going off whatever hits. What predictions hits do you think they'll use coming up?
Well, it'll definitely be difficult for Ben, I think, because when you're alive and you're first, there's always the possibility of triage. And that's something that's more likely readily available for Eric than any other character probably would be. But it can probably go the same way for Ben too. You can see that he's double stacking his shields. He's definitely being weary of a spiny sword right now. He knows that he's blade stacking. He's trying to take off shields. He's trying to get rid of the minion. He wants to have that solid hit against Ben, but Ben's trying to make it as difficult as possible. So I think what we might be seeing is a small dot into a bigger hit later on, just to try and keep everything off of each other.
Compared to the last match, was just starting out with shields and heals, this match is automatically going with stacking your blades. So it'll definitely be a bit of a different playstyle here. We can already see we already got something up as well. So, thinking about Ice School and their minion being able to do the ice bats over and over again, do you think that this could be a game changer having the ice minion to go up against the life guy?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that's what Ben's plan here is to try and be efficient with his time by bringing a minion out and distracting Eric while he's getting himself ready for a big time hit. This is going to be interesting. So we have 2 traps and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 different blades on Ben, and on Eric's side, he's got 4 different blades on too. So this is going to be a really interesting move here.
And they pulled out Earthquake. We saw that last match as well, when our life guy had 4 blades stacked up before a big hit as well.
And that's definitely devastating for Ben because now he's going to lose all of his blades, almost loses his minion, but he's doing the exact same thing.
As well, they're counting each other. It's just like the first perfectly matched up with each other, where they can really hold each other like at the same rate.
This is very interesting. So the real question is, how do you counteract this stalemate that we're going to be seeing here? Both of them know that the more that they blade, the more they need to pull for an aftershock or an earthquake. So
Honestly,
in time, they both know.
A dispel that would be really useful here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is
So
where
it'd
you
be
want that
interesting.
dispel. Like, there's always now. It's like, okay, like, is it worth doing a dispel now to have that, that the dispel block a little shield on later? But then again, it's kind of similar to like whole stun. It's just like, okay, I'll just do another stun if I want to do it later. You plan this ahead. You plan it out. What is their plan?
For
in here?
sure.
Are they going to do the strat and block that? Just like you said, it's like it may just be an inevitable fate of earthquake, aftershock, back and forth, or these other CC moves. But definitely is much more of an extended match than before, because we're just actually seeing a lot more CC, a lot more will to blade up and counters. But the question is, do you think this is going to go to time, though? Do you think it's one of those matches that are much faster paced, but they're going to really block each other from doing anything devastating for a while until like one of them slips up?
I definitely think this is going to be a longer match.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a long match that's interesting. Now, I love the bubble back and forth though. Like the bubble back and forth is always fun when it's happening. Maybe the last match they didn't had a lot of bubbles in their deck, or it was at the end of the deck. Like we all had those moments, right? When the game's like, yeah, all those bubbles, they're at the last 5, 10, or 5, 6, whatever cards at the end of your deck. Like it's painful. We know it happens. It can happen. Maybe it happened to both players, right? Maybe they only got a couple in the beginning and like it's all out there. Interesting, Reindeer Knight. Is that an upgraded version though? I haven't memorized the new damage values.
I don't think so.
I haven't even touched spell writing yet.
Because I believe when you upgrade him, they have like a blue glow around his character model.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I haven't played much with them,
here.
so I don't know all the strats on those with recognizing them.
Yeah, they
But they
it's
are
like
cool,
you can
though.
either train to where the first hit is a bigger hit, or you can train into the dot being the bigger hit.
Interesting.
And once you upgrade it fully, it changes the appearance because it'll add like a blue glow around the reindeer. So it's kind of interesting what they plan on doing with Spellement.
Indeed. I think most have been pretty small changes, but the idea where they can add effects to spells that don't have effects normally, and giving utility to new spell, new life.
And it really changes up the meta as well for PvP especially.
Yeah, and they are, of course, are allowed in this tournament. I don't know who's gonna use them, but it's gonna be interesting to see for those who use them. What kind of advantage does it bring to you now? How much can it help you win or change a match overall? Yeah, we definitely are having a war among bubbles. This is my kind of game. My kind of game to watch, grab some popcorn, and just chill out, enjoy.
I certainly like it, and I think Ben has a better advantage in the bubble war, just because of the way that the life school is. It's unfortunate, but you either had to sacrifice 3 or 4 pips, where Ben only has to sacrifice 2. It's a big deal when you're in PvP.
And unfortunate to see the Raider Knight overtime just ran out as well. What would you think would be Eric's strategy right now as of to what he is trying to get accomplished?
See, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because, as a life main myself, I know that as a life, the best thing that you can do is have loads of pips. But it seems to be that when Eric gets the chance, he uses it, which is interesting. So I'm not really sure what his plan is. I don't know if we're going to see him blade stack more and just make it obvious to Ben that he's going to do a spiny, or if he's just going to continue to do these bubble fights and lose out on his pips when Ben can easily replace it and get the minion out for the exact same cost.
And it seems Ben's looking more towards long-term goals as well. He's obviously having his pips, he's got a blade, he's got a minion, and he's kind of been holding control in the bubble war as it goes back and forwards. Eric's kind of put in a position where he really has nothing that he can use right now. He's just trying to figure out what he needs to be doing.
How many minions is this so far? This is what, the 4th or 5th?
4th, I believe.
This is a lot of minions.
I mean, we see Ben pull out a Doom as well. Or not a Doom, sorry, Infection.
So that's 2 infections now. So this will... I think what we got going on here, I do think you're right. I think Ben is thinking more in the long term. He's looking for that right time to actually hit. Where Eric is just kind of focusing on the minion, getting rid of all of his low pip hits, losing his brown spiders. If he plays it right, Ben might be able to work this into his favor and actually gain complete control of the bubble and still have his minion. Where we haven't even seen Eric pull out some sort of minion.
As well with Eric targeting the minion as well, he's kind of losing his hits that he could be using later on as well, and that can kind of really make it difficult for him to try to get an upper advantage on.
For sure. And something that I would consider as Eric is, and this sounds interesting, but because we aren't using any shadow spells and because we aren't using Shrike or anything like that, the odds of being hit in one turn and being defeated is kind of low without expecting it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In order to do that, you'd have to have a lot of blades, you'd have to be defenseless. What I would be doing as Eric is I wouldn't be focusing on the minion, because Ben's priority right now is to get the minion out to distract Eric. And
yes,
it's working really well, in my opinion. You can see the difference here between the two. One has a lot of pips and a minion out, and the other is just sitting with 3 right now. So Ben's going to get an open shot next turn.
Yeah, it's really putting him at disadvantage for Eric, because he has no pips. He's in really no position to heal. He's really kind of giving the favor to Ben, who's almost had maxed out pips. He has one blade, and his minion is still up as well. I'm wondering if Ben will try to take control of the bubble before he hits, or right after, to even try to prevent Eric from getting an even bigger heal out.
I think what we'll see is I bet Ben will probably try to replace the bubble again one more time. I mean, I know they've been doing a lot of back and forth, and I would imagine they're running low, but that, or maybe blade up a little bit more, get his hand ready. He's got one more stun block that he could take off and try and do a stun combo. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. This is now 3 different blades for Eric. We've got a green oak for Ben. That's the nice thing that Ben has on his side too. Life can't use green oak because otherwise we use our blades. So out of all the schools that don't really have the best shift school, it would be Life. So that's really going to play into Ben's favor.
Just looking at Eric, it really looks like he's kind of just stuck in a position where he can't really take advantage of anything, really. And we see where he's just getting standard pips.
I know.
Really can't plan up for any bigger move. It's unfortunate because both players don't have a very high power pip chance as well, so Ben's really getting lucky on the power pips himself.
That's true. Eric could be sitting at, what is that, 10 power pips right now, and he's only sitting at 6. So that is quite the difference. A Dispel coming out. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a hit. Might have been another blade.
Aside from maybe wanting to change the bubble before he hits, Ben's really in a pretty good position right now to actually put in off a decent hit on Eric.
He definitely is. So we'll have to see what Eric does to try and respond to that. I would assume that he's going to either tower shield or possibly get... Oh, another blade. Okay. So this might be an opportunity for Ben to get some easy damage out.
And then once again, even looking at Eric, he still has to face the life shields that Ben has. So there really is not much that Eric can really do. He's really going to have to work himself back up if he wants to get the advantage.
So here's the question. Both of them have enough pips to Aftershock. Will we see that come out?
I believe Eric is definitely kind of relying more towards that strategy, just because of his current position. With Ben, I mean, really, in another round or two, he can pretty much pull off a pretty decent-sized hit.
Oh, whatever this was, it might have been a hit.
It might have,
but it fizzled. Or it could have been. It could have been a stun. He might have fizzled a stun too.
Well, I was thinking, would you want to try to take off that stun block from Eric and then use Woolly Mammoth and just kind of continue to hold it?
I think that would definitely be a good move. That is a big brain move. We got big brain going on over here.
I really did not expect that.
The Life Prism.
And he's going to keep
this
that
could change the game real quick.
And the stun blocks.
You know how powerful Gnomes could be right now, knowing that he relies on a Life Mastery 2? This would prevent him from healing.
That's true. They were really kind of at a very intense section right now.
This went from a massive stalemate to a big potential for Eric. Unfortunately, he's so low on pips though. I would have saved it to where I could prism into the hit. But now, Ben has time to respond to that.
Especially with Eric. He knows that he's lost some health. He doesn't need to really worry about health at the moment. But if Ben can really get a decent sized hit, for example, Woolly Mammoth on him, that can be really bad, especially if he was able to actually stun Eric. He can really hold the advantage pretty good.
We've got an interesting King Arc coming out. Look at that.
It's a very interesting move.
That was a really nice hit for Ben. We'll have to see how he responds, meaning Eric, but it looks like the minion is once again out. We'll see if Ben decides to put in another one now, because now we're at a state where for the first time in I'm not sure how long, Eric actually has pip advantage over Ben.
Indeed, so we gotta see where he's going. Thinking in terms, he can't put up a -50 with that Isis spell, so he really needs to figure out what kind of round, or what spells he wants to do each round to make sure he's efficiently planning.
We're also going to see a lot of Pierce coming out from Ben now. We've got an Infal and a Pierce Blade, so we're sitting at least 30% on a base resist or Pierce for the resistance. So if Eric isn't aware,
and it seems like Eric is still trying to build up as well for a hit. I don't know. It's very interesting. It kind of seems like Eric doesn't really know what to do. He's just trying to build up to kind of do something once he gets that.
For sure. Plus, Eric's also sitting with an Isis spell, so he can't simply shield himself right now. This could be a nice open shot Winter Moon from Ben. Oh, but he's coming out with these. This is a nice move from Eric, the thermic shields.
And then it looks like Ben's really going to counter the idea of being able to play shields at all for Eric.
Definitely some impressive moves right there. There was a lot of potential for either one of them to lose ground there, but I think Eric, regardless, is going to come out on the lower end there in regards to the advantage. Ben played a really good move there with that Frostbite. He could have easily Winter Moon and would have lost a lot of damage.
With Eric, he does have pip advantage, so he could potentially move into a hit. However, he knows Ben still has those life shields, so is he going to try to find a way to get those shields off, or is he kind of going to pull off a desperate attempt?
Or he might just try and power for the infections. Oh, he's going to shift it over. Okay.
Oh, okay. And then coming from Eric, I don't know what his next move would be, if it would actually be a hit or if he would just try to shield up again.
I mean, what's interesting to me
for a heal
is that a shift is 3 pips for either one of them, but a Satyr would have just been the regular 4 standard power pips for Eric. So was it a good move to shift off a Frostbite for that amount of pips when it's only going to do 370 per turn on someone who doesn't have anything against their healing abilities right now?
And then still thinking about the negative he has on his healing as well. He's going to go for the bubble change. Now, I don't know, Eric's kind of trying to find his way up. Ben's had the advantage for so long, so Eric's kind of at that point where he really needs to settle a ground on what he needs to do. Because it seems like he's kind of going back and forth between blading and shielding, and then he's been at this disadvantage where he can't do anything.
Well, it looks like Ben's going to take advantage of this moment, knowing that Eric was in a lot of pressure. He didn't shield himself, and this is allowing for Eric to get a massive open shot on him, and that's going to do it.
Alright, so definitely a very offensive match compared to the first one that we watched.
Indeed, indeed. It was a very, very, very fun match. I mean, definitely much, much faster for sure, but hey. That's good. That's good for our time because we can conclude the match in excitement within due time. That was pretty fun though. Pretty fun. 23 minutes 58 seconds ish.